Good evening and welcome to the thorough newspaper analysis for 5th April 2022. For today, we have the article A Campus for All, which has been taken from the Indian Express and has been authored by Aksha Sheikh and Raghav Shukla, and which talks about infrastructural changes for queer students. Following that, we will have the news update and the legal news, which you know are a part of LawSikho's initiative for its readers and students to be updated with the current affairs happening in and around India. So for the first article today, A Campus for All, it follows NALSA's announcement, which NALSA is one of the premier law institutes of the country. And this institute has announced that they are creating a gender neutral space in the students' hostels. Now, this is an outcome on the inclusive education in favor of the sexual minorities and also the outcome of honest conversations with students. So now with NALSA coming up with a gender neutral space, it is expected that other universities will soon follow suit and a more inclusive education policy will be developed for sexual minorities. Now, protecting the sexual minority has been a focal point in the entire world. And from time to time, the Indian judiciary has come forward in support of these minority students. For example, Yashika, who is an MA student from Punjab University, was not allotted hostel facility because she was a transgender student. Frustrated with this, she had to approach the Punjab and Haryana High Court, and it was the High Court who then had to direct the university to make necessary accommodations. Another victim of this was Trinetra Haldar, who was also denied accommodation in the girls' hostel, even after she had legally changed her gender to female. However, the university said that this change did not matter. And in order to get accommodated in the girls' hostel, she would have to go through a sex reassignment surgery. However, the university's claim on a sex reassignment surgery critically undermines the right of self-determination, which has been guaranteed and forms the backbone of the NALSA judgment of 2014. So we need to remember that even as inclusive spaces are being created, one should not forget or curtail the legal right of accommodation in men's and women's hostels. Secondly, such places should also be made available to people with disabilities. Whenever we are talking of policy change, we focus on micro perspectives. We are always either talking about the sexual minority or with people with disability or about students who come from weaker economical backgrounds. However, what we must do is build policies and institutional frameworks so that all these problems find a synergized solution. University administrations must also pay attention to prevent that students who are availing these facilities, especially developed for queer students, do not come under the attack of queerphobic nature. And in order to prevent this, the students and the teachers who are working in the institute, they must be sensitized. The National Education Policy of 2020 speaks for providing equitable and quality education to transgender students. However, it does not identify self-determination. The reason why self-determination is pivotal is because when we omit self-determination, we are omitting the right that has been granted under NALSA judgment and a social evil that has been riddling our society for very long now. One of the issues about not identifying self-determination was witnessed in the case of DPS Faridabad, where a student was continuously bullied for the student's sexual orientation. And finally, a school child unable to take the bullying anymore had to commit suicide. So when the National Education Policy of 2020 speaks about providing equitable and quality education to transgender students, it must also give the opportunity to people who have come forward and who identify themselves as a different gender. A change in the queerphobic curricula is also necessary for bringing such changes along with the infrastructural changes that we are now moving ahead towards. So for the news updates today, we have the first news: HDFC Bank and HDFC Limited merger. HDFC Bank and HDFC Limited announced their merger on Monday, gearing up as one of the largest mergers in the Indian financial sector. Subject to regulations and customary closing actions, the activity of HDFC banks shall cease in 18 months. Secondly, Kwatra named the next foreign secretary by the Indian government on Monday. Indian Foreign Service officer Vinay Mohan Kwatra is a 1988 batch IFS officer and is currently serving as the ambassador in Kathmandu since January 2020. He will be replacing the incumbent Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla, who is a 1984 batch IFS officer. For the third news today, we have the 64th annual Grammy Awards, which was held at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas on 3rd of April 2022. And the annual awards recognize the best recordings, the best compositions, and the artists of the eligibility year, which runs from September 1st, 2020 to September 30th, 2021. The South African comedian Trevor Noah hosted the previous ceremony in 2021 and returned as a host this year too. The ceremony also marked the first time the Recording Academy switched host cities for a single ceremony. John Baptiste received the most nominations with 11, followed by Doja Cat, Her, and Justin Bieber with 8 each. Baptiste received the most awards with 5 Grammy Awards and won the Album of the Year for We Are. Silk Sonic won Record of the Year and Song of the Year for Leave the Door Open, and Olivia Rodrigo won the Best New Artist. For the fourth news today, we have the 13 new districts for Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh created 13 new districts, taking the total number to 26. Chief Minister Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy digitally inaugurated 13 new districts in the state from his office camp in Tadepalli in the Guntur district. All the new districts have come into effect from April 4th. Ministers, MPs, MLAs, district collectors, and superintendents of police attended the inaugural programs in their respective districts. For the legal news today, we have Attorney General objects to plea in Supreme Court to enforce fundamental duties. The Attorney General of India, K.K. Venugopal, objected to a writ petition that sought direction to enforce fundamental duties on the citizens. The AG said that tremendous amounts of effort had already been invested by the Ministry of Law in this regard, and the applicant who filed this writ petition should have done prior research. Further, the AG also added that no mandamus can be issued by the Supreme Court in this case because such mandamus is not valid on the parliament. And the same has been founded in the case of Durga Dutt versus UOI and others. So this was all for today. For free study materials and TNA PDF slides, please join our Telegram channel by scanning the QR code here. You can also join our Instagram channels in these following handles: LawSikho.judiciary, LawSikho CLAT Prep, UGCnet_LawSikho, and LawSikho Law Finance. For any further information, please visit www.lawsikho.com. Thank you.